All right, so let's get into our astrology highlights. So, as I mentioned, this is going to be just a very broad view of the year ahead, and I will be doing something more detailed later on. But for now, really want to touch on those things that are really key for us to pay attention to. And again, I do recommend having your personal natal chart to kind of see where some of these things that I'm talking about are going to be affecting your personal chart. Now, before I get into these highlights, what I do want to say in particular is that the specific imprint or energy that we're entering into this new year with the autumn equinox is bookended by two very unique and special astrological events. The first being, of course, the new moon solar eclipse that is going to happen tomorrow, what is that, the 21st? And that's going to be at 29 degrees of Virgo. So it may be helpful to look at your natal chart and see where 29 degrees of Virgo is in your chart. That is the beginning of a new kind of 6-month cycle where you'll be grappling with issues around rooting out blockages to progress. And again, this is going to be related to this particular house. So wherever there is stagnancy, wherever there are obstacles, wherever there are self-limiting behaviors, other connections, whatever that is there that needs to be dealt with, that's been a long-standing issue, you can expect over this next 6 months for the imprints or the working of this eclipse to be bringing that up for you. It's not fun, right? But the reason why this is happening is because this is with the South Node, because currently the nodes are in Pisces and Virgo, the North Node in Pisces, South Node in Virgo. South Node is that area where we are rooting out, digging up, and addressing blockages, hindrances to our personal development, to collective growth and development. Okay, so on a personal level, while it is the beginning of a new stage, it's a new stage of specifically doing this kind of grunt work. Now, some of it you will be able to do consciously. Other things you will find that spirit will just bring up for you to address, and to deal with. But it is what it is. So that's the first bookend. Then right after that, we literally have the new year with the autumn equinox. And then directly after that is this first astrological highlight, which is this grand trine. A grand trine is a synergy. It's a shape in the sky in a perfect equilateral triangle. So all the planets are equidistant from each other essentially, and it's all in air signs. So air has to do with communication, thoughts, beliefs, relating with others. And it's between these pretty big players in our solar system. So first and foremost, the sun, which is literally center and the driving force of life and existence for us. Then we have Uranus, which is, the innovator. And then we have Pluto, which is the great transformer. The sun, since we're coming into autumn equinox and the zodiac season of Libra, is holding down that air sign. Uranus is holding down the sign of Gemini. And then Pluto is holding down the sign of Aquarius. So the new year being bookended by both this grand trine in air and this eclipse are very, very big energies. One of the things that you may have been experiencing in the time leading up to literally these next couple days is a lot of tiredness. So feeling really tired, needing to sleep a lot, trying to sleep a lot, but not feeling as rested, and or wiredness, like feeling constantly buzzed, not being able to come down, um, you know, or even like intensely like creative and just like having a lot of output. Could be a lot of things. Let me check your chats. Yeah, right. Literally, right. So, it's depending on who you are, like, you're going to have the experience that you're going to have. But these bigger events, which do actually, impact us, are at play and do influence us. If we know the moon is influencing us, then definitely like these larger planets and the sun are influencing us. But these are beautiful energies to be dealing with. So one, on a personal level, the Virgo eclipse for helping us deal with things that we need to deal with on a personal level, and also collectively rooting out and dealing with things that we need to deal with at a collective level. Again, not fun, but important work. And the Grand Trine in air focused on ideas, innovation, communication, relationship building, coalition building, those types of things. So that obviously is important on a personal level, especially when we're looking to develop and maintain healthy relationships with people, family, friends, lovers, as well as community, nations, etc. So there's both the personal and interpersonal here that can be worked with. And these are the driving themes for this next year. It is very much a transitional year. So I don't expect for there to be a feeling of newness permeating folks. It's going to still be a lot of transitioning and bridging the old into the new. I think a lot of the new energy, if you will, or clarity of the new will be more so next year moving on. So end of 2027 into 2028. That's just a sense that I get. But this is a really important year for this type of, again, interpersonal, inner work and interpersonal work. Okay. Specifically because of the bookends of these the eclipse and the Grand Trine with this new year. These are the two things that we're walking with side by side. Now, next is the this is tied to the Grand Trine. So the second highlight is about this. What I have here is new birth. So what we're going to find 9 months from now in July, we're still going to have Uranus and Gemini and Pluto and Aquarius, but the sun will be opposite now. So it's going to be essentially bringing these themes up again, and we'll be able to essentially see what the fruit of the labor has been for whatever we've been working on a personal level, striving for, trying to free ourselves from, trying to improve upon within ourselves, as well as interpersonally, whether, at a local level or even collectively. We're going to see things come to a head at that point. Now, again, depending on what folks are working on, because this message is for everybody, whether it's, people you agree with or don't agree with. The fruit of the labor of people for that is going to be showing around that time. So I would say if you really want to be able to ensure that you are getting out the results that you're looking to have, okay, the more honest, the more action-oriented you can be around these themes that I'm talking about in, this first part of the spiritual year, if you will, the better results you'll more likely see at that time. But the things that are percolating now definitely will be coming to a head next summer specifically. Okay. Third highlight is the nodes and the eclipses. So we are in the midst of, at that time next year, we will be in the midst of a shift from the nodes in Pisces and Virgo, shifting into Aquarius and Leo. The North Node will be in Aquarius. The South Node will be in Leo. And that shift will be happening in June. So we'll have that transition right before that kind of new birth experience in July next year. Now, even though the nodes are shifting in June, we will be having another eclipse in February. This eclipse, for your notes, will be in Aquarius at 28 degrees. It will be a new moon Aquarius. Okay, so that will be the start of a new cycle. I do think that because that eclipse will be starting early, if you will, astrologically, okay, because it's starting before we're actually having the nodal shift, that the newness of that energy is going to be less because of the fact that we'll still be under the Pisces North Node influence. So I don't think that, again, we're really going to see a lot of the newness, new energy, that feeling of expansion, etc., really happening until summertime. Does this mean that new things won't be happening, that expansion won't be happening, that progress won't be happening? No. But we're going to be in the last stages of this nodal shift and these changes. And again, the year is imprinted by this Virgo eclipse. So the focus is still going to be more on dealing with obstacles. Okay. But it's good because resistance helps you build strength if you leverage it properly. Um, and we will, obviously continue to have more eclipses, so it's, not that big of a deal. But I think that this will kind of dampen the personal experience of newness with that eclipse in February specifically, okay? But the nodes will be shifting next summer, and this is another reason why I'm saying that kind of like the newness won't be coming through until later in the year, because it's still going to be a time of very important transition. Last highlight before we shift is going to be Jupiter transitioning into Leo. So currently, and for most of this spiritual year, Jupiter will be in Cancer, but it's going to be shifting into Leo. And it's basically going to be picking up with the new birth energy that the sun kind of activates in July with that opposition to the original grand trine that we're going to be experiencing these next couple days. It's basically going to be coming in and helping to expand that energy and help that to grow. So towards the end of 2026, and as we get into 2027, the expansive, opportunistic energies associated with Jupiter will be helping you to feel more like, okay, things are kind of in flow, things are working, things are going. It doesn't mean that, in the external world, everything is going to be hunky-dory, but the clarity about, the path, things actually moving along that path, feeling like you're making progress, that the momentum is going, that is definitely going to be felt by all, more so at that time. So it's kind of like we are coming up to a door, to a portal with this bookended new year of the eclipse, the autumn equinox, and the grand trine at the beginning in these next couple days. And the door is unlocked and we stepped through into this kind of new space and a very material level. So like, obviously the spirit is like the spirit, but again, personal experience and what we're seeing happening in the world, a lot more clarity and faster movement and less of this kind of like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, kind of feeling that definitely has been present already, but will still be kind of showing up throughout this year. I saw something pop up in the chat, so let me see. How will Jupiter interplay with the South Node? Should I wait for channeling? So for that I think is going to come through more so for the next year's one, because what came through for the channeling for this was the expanding part of the support of whatever this new birth energy is. I think putting a personal aside, I think on a broader level, this is going to see an implosion of leadership Um, we could talk about that later as well, but I think from that point forward, um, implosion of folks in authority is going to be more so the thing with that on a broader scale with that South Node. On a personal level, that is going to depend where this is in the chart. It's going to depend on where that is in the chart. Because there's not always something to uproot wherever the South Node is, and also depending on where it is in the chart and the work that you've done. So, because sometimes folks can really just go through, South Node transit and it's fine. Other folks, depending on where it is and where, again, longstanding issues have been, it's going to be a problem. So that's going to depend. But I think, again, on a broader level, that's going to be more so leader stuff. Now, how that impacts us, I think that's going to be more dependent on the work that's done leading up to that point, because even if, not if, when those in leadership can't handle, whether they're people we agree with or not, when they can't handle the consequences of their behavior or the consequences of the work that they have to do, um, does that mean the group, the system, the community, the institution collapses? And those are important considerations. I mean, that's really getting into the Aquarius Leo stuff, but that's not the focus for us right now. It's like this feels like preparation for getting to a place where we can actually start having those kind of conversations, which I'm happy about. So, all right. Any other questions? Any other questions? That Jupiter transit is in my 12th house. Trust and flow with Piscean ruler Jupiter. Not me sweating at the idea of more surrender, right? Yeah, I mean, 12th house, but that the 6th and 12th house transits for nodes or for planets, having South Node in the 12th house in general, isn't rough like it can be for other houses, because that really is, for me, in my interpretation of the chart, that really is the house of your relationship with spirit. And I'm saying spirit broadly, like God, source, creator itself. So not you with deities, not you with ancestors, not you with, nature, or any of that stuff. It's literally existence itself in you. And so having a South Node go through that house is helpful for truly removing those things that are getting in the way of your ability to connect with that and the simplicity of that. And it could be as literal as like having to deal with these beliefs that you have to come a certain way, you have to do certain kind of prayers or whatever, rather than just sit with it. All right. So that, yeah, that's my viewpoint on that house, on South Node house. So it is one about really bringing you closer to the divine, and removing the stuff we have around the divine that has been colored by tradition, by religion, all those kinds of things. So it can really be a very sweet and restorative transit. It's not one that is focused on the external world, but it necessarily impacts and overflows and can make the external experience much better, because you're being reoriented back to the truth of who you are. And the truth of who you are is not the identity, it's not the gender, it's not the job, it's not the history, right? Those are things that we take on, tools, things that we play with to have an experience. But just as they get taken up, they get put down. And the 12th house is like the you and the connection that is there before you came in, and that will be there after you leave. And that is unchanged, that is unmoving. So, over here we like South Node going to 12th house because it's like, yeah, this is home, right? Okay. So let us now shift into talking about the ancestors or the ancestor messages, since we don't have any more questions. So like I said, I already have the cards out. And these are going to be more practical, quote unquote, messages. How are we doing on time? Oh, not too bad. Not too bad. Proud of myself. All right, so what do we want to talk about first? Immediately, I'm hearing love and money. So we'll start with love and money. Oh. I love it. Always, right? Sorry, I'm coughing because I've been burning so much incense. So my lungs are like, Jynnette, calm down. All right, so for now, again, these are messages from the ancestors for all of us, for all things. Actually, you know what? Let's do this. I'm going to give everybody a minute to close their eyes and actually sit with, call in, like verbally call in one particular ancestor that they would like to have be with them and help to clarify what within these messages are for them. Okay. So I'm just going to put a timer on my phone. And if you don't have a name for particular ancestors, that's fine. You can just be like, a grandmother or a grandfather or whoever is a beneficial ancestor that would like to be here with me at this moment. So go ahead and start. Okay, so give me a thumbs up if you have your ancestor, and if not, that's fine. Okay, excellent. I love how the ancestors were ready. They're like, we here. All right. So let's talk about love. Expect the petty, because we already know. All right, so for this can be for folks who are single or simply in the process of dating but haven't officially gotten into a relationship with someone, or if you are in a relationship with someone, the quote unquote romantic energy that y'all deal with. So we have this card, the Lookout. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Wrong one. Apologies. We have this card, Four of Forces, spring, autumn. I'll give you a second to check on that. Spring is at the top, autumn's at the bottom. So with this type of card, since it didn't come out reversed, we'll go with the spring energy rather than the autumn energy. Okay, so for folks who are single and specifically are looking, um, for this year ahead, this is a good year. It's conducive for you coming across and finding someone that you can have at the very least a long-term relationship. What long is dependent because we know how time works with spirit. But I'll say this instead of long-term, quality. Because I don't want to associate like time with something actually being good. So a quality relationship. So the environment is actually conducive, contrary to the chaos. The environment is actually conducive for you finding someone if you are looking. If you have just started dating people, um, you will also find someone that is quality, or you're meeting better quality people, and there will be at least one within that that you'll want to pursue a longer, potentially, or more committed relationship with. For those of you who are already in a relationship, there might be discussions this year about long-term goals and plans coming in because we have this house in the distance. So um, that can run the gamut. It could be like, are we going to get a pet this year? Right? To, do we want to get a house, or do we want to have another kid? Everyone's situation is different. So, um, but in general, the energy is very supportive of healthy, quality, romantic relationships across the board. So I really love that. This is a very soft energy, and it's very clear. It's very solid. So this is a place, the relationship is a place of respite in the midst of external change, for sure. It's very much coming through with this. To go a little deeper, because that's not the only thing for relationships. When it comes to sex, shared resources, money, so those things that are a little bit more charged and delve more into the deeper connections, we have the Queen of Scrolls here. So this is affirming what was coming through about deeper quality relationships coming through, because Scrolls talks about contracts. So these are soulmates. I mean, everybody would come across is a soulmate, but they are usually colloquially, when we're talking about relationships, we're talking about like, we've had deeper, stronger connections. But this is on the positive side, because you can also have deeper, stronger connections with, very not pleasant people. That's not the vibe that I'm getting here. This is really like, again, healthy. There's light around the relating. Um, it's positive. It's good. Um, and whatever the deepening is, sharing of resources, even if this is, sexual energy, um, joining of families, like this is good. Again, this is helpful. This is fruitful. This is beneficial. More is gained together rather than apart. Now, when it comes to the actual contracts, so the decision to be in a relationship or the decision to um, have whatever the next contract is. So, literally that, of course, could be marriage, but another contract could be, child, it could be house, those types of things. We have the Queen of Keys. This is similar energy to the scrolls. What I'm picking up with this though is one, take your time, but you're taking your time to consider the future and consider how you want to navigate things for the future. So it's not just the romantic feeling of like, oh, let's get together, or oh, let's now do this, or etc. It's okay, we know we want to do this and we can. It is open, that is available. Um, but this person is also considering the landscape. And considering the landscape may mean like we need to move sooner on something rather than later because of circumstances, you know. Unfortunately, I'm thinking about, my queer family, and it's like, well, are we going to be allowed to get married at a certain point? Like, do we need to move to a different state? Considerations. Other things might be, we want to do these things, but maybe you want to wait a little while because we want to have more savings for something or whatever. All right. So it's just those considerations coming into play as it relates to these contracts. Again, beneficial energy, but you notice here the the coloring is a little deeper. So it's like, okay, we got to face some stuff. We got to look at some stuff. It's a yes. There's no there. Um, but timing and circumstances for what's actually going to be best. But regardless of timing of this, the fact that this is the energy around the relationships or the burgeoning potential seeds are solid. So this is not shaken. Okay. This is malleable, even though there's all this stone here, but this is malleable. Okay. That wasn't too bad, right? For love. There's my ancestor. All right, money. Let's talk about the money, which of course will be tied to career a bit. But so for money, we have the Two of Roses. I'll let you see this image. In this image, we have a dove at the top with divine protection. And there's a hawk coming in from the side. On the table is a little bit of, spilt drinks, a little chaos. It's not a fun image. But what this oracle card specifically talks about is tough times around potentially coming up, but you still have what you need, you still have where you're protected, but you're not in the clear, which should obviously make sense given the situation that we are all externally collectively in. But yeah, it's not steady, or it's not comfortable, I'll say. So another thing I noticed, actually, I don't know if you'll be able to see it in here, but the scroll that the dove carries is larger than what the hawk has. And there is, the cup and the tea kettle there that is still full, only one has turned over. There are flowers in the back. There is a tree in the back, but there's not many flowers, and the tree is kind of wilting. There's plenty of grass, but there's not, it's different from this Four of Forces energy where you have like a lot of lush greenery. So the resources are there that you need a little bit for once, but expectations for bigger growth, I don't think are necessarily going to be met for, I'll say this, for the money that's in immediate circulation. So that has to do with like day-to-day living. I don't see that shifting too much or growing too much with this energy for us. So essentially, like we still, at the very least, have another year, because I don't know, again, what next year is going to be looking like, but we have a year of things essentially staying a little same. Whatever extra is naturally supposed to be coming will come, but anything that's actually like fully breaking out of this dynamic, no. Again, for the stuff that's in direct circulation for your living expenses. Now, this same energy, the Queen of Scrolls, has to do with money that is not in direct circulation for day-to-day living. That's doing well. Because that's how capitalism works. So if you have money in the markets, because of how things work in the markets, those most likely will be doing better comparatively to your individual resources if you already have money there. Let me see if there's anything else with that. If you don't have any money in the market, either because you don't have the additional resources to do that, or you just hadn't considered it before and now you're considering it, if you are considering doing so, please make sure you are working with a financial advisor, or at least like, depending on what it is that you're looking at, like make use of the resources that are available to teach you and educate you about those things. All right. So let's also connect that to work. So for essentially your job, even if you work for yourself, whatever it is that you're doing day to day, we have the Three of Keys, the chess game. Nobody is your friend. Like ancestors are this is not a fun card. There's this card and another card. I forgot the name of it, but it has the word ego in it. But this specifically is reminding you that even if you get along with folks, these people are not your friends. Everybody is looking either out for themselves or jockeying for something else. This is really about, playing the political game, playing office politics. Playing office politics does not mean you have to walk over other people, but it's just understanding that like there are ulterior motives to who and what you're dealing with, and these aren't friends. Okay. If this is coming through, it one either needs to be a reminder for folks, and or it's an indication that you can expect some stuff to pop up this year with your work. Again, whether you work for yourself or for someone, a company, you can expect some stuff to pop up. And you may have a sense of like betrayal or like, oh, whatever. Please don't get in your feelings about it. They're telling you up front, this is what's up. I don't care who it is. I don't care what the work is. I don't care how you're helping people or not. I also don't care how much you might be staying in your own, little world, because that's how I do. I really do go in and mind my business. This is still in play. This is still in play. And it's going to be more in play going forward. So please do be cognizant of that, because this obviously also affects your money too. Now, when it comes to, bigger career related things, we have the Three of Roses, loving elementals. So even though you might not like this, the overarching benefit to your skills and expertise over time and how this is going to help you down the road, and I'm hearing more so like 10 years down the road, is beneficial. So as best as possible, please do take these, I'm going to say the phrase minor inconveniences as they are, as minor inconveniences, because unless your life is literally being threatened, please don't let this bullshit derail you. Because there are more important things than this. Do what you need to do to get what you need to get, because overall the benefit is there for you, for your career, for your growth over the long term. And if you live long enough, you can see how, what you've done and jobs you worked in the past have absolutely developed skills and perspectives and knowledge that have helped you later on. And that's the message coming through for this. Let me see. For health related things, it's also the Three of Keys. So health is still, and I'm saying still kind of tricky because I think for everyone, health has not been on the up and up since COVID, and definitely has not been on the up and up since this election. So, um, health concerns are still going to be there, whether that is mental health, physical health, and or both. It can be navigated. It's not necessarily like, the end of the world, but this is a caution. This is a saying like you do actually need to prioritize physical health and mental health, emotional health. Specifically, this is stress energy and how that impacts you. But it also can be, overworking or what have you. So health is tricky for this year coming up. And that's for everyone. To be honest, I think because I'm seeing now why that stress message came through. With the mind and emotions, the mind, we have the Seven of Scrolls, emotions, we have the Lookout card. Rebuilding of the mind, figuring out strategies, what you want to do, how you want to do, what you think about certain things, how you want to show up, all that kind of stuff. Emotionally, dealing with all the things that you might be having to deal with. Those are big factors. I know for Inner Sun Alchemy, one of the things that I've already started doing and will continue to do throughout this year is do and facilitate meditation challenges for folks. So we just finished the 30-day challenge. I'm going to do a 60-day challenge in another week or so. And then I'm going to do a 90-day challenge. And we're going to keep going. to help with this in the mind. And emotionally, it will also help as well, but this is going to come through honesty about how you really feel. And spirit is here. This is the spirit energy, universe, God, source, creator, whatever you want to call it. The three of forces with the bird's nest. The divine is there. The support is there. But in general, in terms of goals and things like that, we have Eight of Scrolls, Paths Unknown. The ancestors are saying there are a lot of options, that we're deciding on. There are options that we are deciding on, and similar to the message that came through around relationships with considering the circumstances, you do the same thing with the different paths, and also just take your time. This is one of the things, again, that the Virgo eclipse influence on the year is teaching us, is when things flow, take the action. When things get stagnant, then you just pause. But take action when the action presents itself, when things open up. The short-term wins, the short-term movement are the seeds for that new birth, for that new whatever for next year. So this, to sum that up, I would say for these messages is like, focus actually a little bit more on the short term right now rather than the long term. The long term is going to open up, but focus on the short term. Because that's where the little doors, the little paths are opening up, and that's where you need to be taking action. So yeah, hopefully that helps. And of course I had to go up to 11. Good Lord. All right. Yapping. Questions on this, on these ancestor messages. We'll take a 10-minute break though, but questions on these messages. Okay. So we will come back at 10 after, and we will get into the month by month messages, okay? I will see y'all in a few. Let me actually put up the screen if I can. All righty. Be back. Right. Got my matcha latte. Stir. How's everybody feeling? The stirs. Yes, the ASMR. I should start creating like ASMR videos. Coffee and kefir. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Not in one cup. I was like, I wasn't gonna say anything. This is ice. I have ice cube in here. Oh, all right. Anything pop up while we were on break?
Just that the read is reading. Especially the three of the chess card. So yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we're now going to shift into the month by month guidance, like I said. It's bigger. Sorry. I'm not a fan of this app at all. Okay. So as I mentioned in the beginning, this is going to be spirit relaying what's going to be occurring and how to best deal with the insight and guidance for that. So this is not going to be personal messages like the ancestor messages were. This is more collective in nature / spiritual, non-physical realms in nature. Okay, but we're going month by month. Again, by zodiac month, starting with Libra season, because that is when the autumn equinox begins. So basically, Monday was the new year. All right, so for this first quarter, I'm going to show you. Well, let me just go by month by month. So month one, we have the. Sorry, this deck is different. This is the strength card in regular tarot. But it's card number 11 here in this deck. But it is the strength card. So whenever the strength card shows up, it's an indication that strength is needed because of circumstances that are arising. It's interesting. There's almost a sense that I'm getting that there may be a sense by some, not necessarily us per se, but there just may be the sense of like the good, quote unquote, or the positive is very quiet. And it's like, where is the help? Where is the solution? Where is the light? Because this is a very quiet card, but this feels concerning. This is like, well, I want to see fire. I want to see light. I want to be um externally presented with this, right? And it's just not going to be forward like that externally. It doesn't mean that it's not present. It's just not going to be forward like that. So if you start to notice that people are spiraling a bit, projecting a bit, demanding certain types of behavior, um, this is very much giving rescue me energy. That's what I'm picking up. If you start to see a lot of that pop up specifically again for this month coming up, so end of September into most of October, that's this energy, and that's what this is feeling like. Now, spirit's guidance is card number 4, man masculine, but this is very much giving like stay steady, stay firm, hold the light. The 4 is not a mutable, changeable energy. Like it's not phased by the moving waters. It's not phased by seeming chaos change. It is strong, it is steady, it is clear, right? Let me hold this a little closer. So yeah, this dynamic popping up is definitely there. But that the folks that are presenting that dynamic are not actually sitting in this energy. Like this is feeling very disingenuous, the strength card. I don't want to use that phrase victim mentality because I think it's very problematic, but yeah, it's just that it's this rescue me energy as if something outside of self or even what's local, what you can directly work with, is like not there, and or like literally just not wanting to engage with the process and just wanting something else or someone else to do it. But spirit's like, you know better, you know what's up. All right, month 2, so this is Scorpio season, end of October. We actually have the Queen of Cups in reverse. Now this came out reversed, and you know I don't really do reversals, but when something comes out reversed, because I don't really do it, I do pay attention and I'm gonna get the message. So this one came out reversed. Uh, this is manipulation being seen for what it is. This is exposure of manipulation. And it's more so emotional manipulation rather than like debate or intellectual manipulation, because that's a different kind of thing. Um, but yeah, this is This is almost feeling like tactics. I don't like this energy, but you know, it is what it is. This feels like the first stage of tactics, the rescue me energy, and then this emotional manipulation, which is really passive aggressive slash aggressive energy popping up. Um, ooh, I don't know if I want to deliver some of these messages. Mm, um, so I'm I'm hesitant to say this because I don't obviously like the energy, but this is feeling like more death, but like I'm gonna say more murder, but there already has been murder, but yeah, aggressively passive aggressive, right? The card from Spirit, the guidance around this is the preparing card, card number 83. That, you know, obviously is spiritually preparing, but also it's, you know, preparing for what this means in the environment. So while this isn't new, unfortunately, we have experience of what this is, depending on where we live. Um, there essentially is a cycle of things that naturally occur with a lot of this death energy. And so doing what you need to do to recall those ways that you deal with the fallout from this stuff, how that affects, you know, social media, how that affects your mental health, your emotional health, the relationships you have with people, how you can work, your health, like all that kind of stuff, as well as how this impacts dynamics at work, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All right. So next month, this is going to be Sagittarius season. So end of November into December. We have the Five of Wands or Seven of Wands, excuse me. This is literal conflict. This is fighting. This could be verbal cardio as well as military aggression. I don't don't have nicer ways to say this. This is really not going. These next 90 days are not going to be fun if this is playing out the way this is feeling to me. I mean, personally, my heart can't take another George Floyd, and the subsequent brutality visited upon those who protest in the streets anyway. But not saying that that specifically is going to happen, but like it's an example of the vibe. But this is aggression. So spirit's advice is defense. So we were get clear, get steady, be unmoved within, prepare, and defend. Again, this could just be spiritually. Actually, I won't even say just. Across the board, there should always be spiritual defense. There's spiritual work, and then there's physical work, and there's the gamut of physical work to be done. But spiritually, the things we talked about actually with the ancestor messages are the beginning stages of preparation. And then depending on, what you ascertain from here, specific to these types of dynamics, essentially get implemented here because of this aggression, whatever this aggression is. And again, you might not personally be experiencing physical aggression, but it could be that verbal aggression. Could be conflict at work with family members, like just something, this is stirring up stuff. Whatever is going on. Because even obviously before this, we have the strength card, so it's already there. This is just extra with this Queen of Cups in reverse. Okay. Now, we do move into Capricorn season, so this is going to be winter solstice, December 21st. So end of December, Christmas time, into January, New Year. We have the Five of Swords. This is literally the battlefield after the fight. Like, this is literally the battlefield after the fight. Let me sip some tea. I wasn't ready, y'all. Now for some, ooh, the emotions. Okay, I'm gonna have to cry later. Again, because this is a broader message. For some, this is literally those in areas where there is active military aggression. Okay. So there is some significant, military engagement over the next 90 days that once we hit the beginning of the year, essentially having to deal with the aftermath of that. But in the less physically violent circumstances where it's the verbal cardio, if you will, it's seeing what's left after potential breakdowns of connection, communication, what have you. But at least at this point, the fighting does stop. There is a pause here at this month, winter solstice month. This is very somber holiday time. Like this is definitely not going to feel as bright of a holiday time in general. Not to say this necessarily going to be your experience, but in general. Spirit's guidance, though, is the healing card. So this is the time, literally right in the heart of, or the beginning of this winter season, winter solstice, to focus on healing. You know, you did what you had to do. You prepared, you defended. Now it's time to heal. Now it's time to recoup. Now it's time to restore. And with this energy here, with ups and downs, to tilt back up towards the light, towards the sun, towards God, source, creator. This is going to be the time to reset. Again, collectively. All right, so for so that's Capricorn season, winter solstice. Then we have Aquarius season, end of January into February. We have the King of Pentacles. Oh, this is the month when the eclipse happens. The new moon solar eclipse in Aquarius I was talking about earlier. It's another quiet energy too, like that strength card. Because the impression I'm getting from this is figures in authority, right? And almost like an exposure of who the leaders are behind certain things. Although it's not giving, I mean, at least to me, it's not giving the sense of like, that's actually a secret. um, but it's almost like the stuff leading up to this and the stuff that has been leading up to this has just been a lot of distraction, as chaotic as it is and destructive as it is. It's just been a lot of distraction. Well, since nothing specific is coming through, I'll just continue relaying the various things I'm picking up. So there's that first part, then there's this other part about authority figures, leaders, people in leadership positions presenting solutions. Whether or not those solutions are actually for the greater good of all is to be seen and depends on where this is coming from. So that's why it doesn't feel great to me, but it's gray because it's can be positive or negative depending on your perspective. So it's like I'm getting the phrase promise of stability being presented. Yeah. Promise of stability. And it's a promise of stability through a figurehead, a person, whatever. But the guidance is the 6, the falling in love, which for on a global scale, this is more so guidance about connecting through community, through coalitions, associations. It's group or interdependence between leadership rather than like a singular thing. So because of top of mind, I'd be like, this is more fascist in nature, right? This is very different. The falling in love energy. Yeah, but this is feeling like, again, solutions being presented. Players behind the scenes, yes, as well as solutions being presented. And if it's that secondary thing, it's like, go towards falling in love. Whatever that, this falling in love energy or the group interdependent energy, whatever that is going to be looking like for you, as well as, guidance for the collective of humanity. Moving on. Pisces season. So this is what, end of February into March. 2 of Wands. So this card specifically has to deal with power. And the consolidation of power. Now, if y'all been with me for a while, you know I love talking about power because I think that's actually really all we have to really talk about is like power and how we use it, misuse it, or abuse it. But in a broader scale, not a personal scale, addressing power, how to consolidate power, how to leverage power, I think are very good conversations to be having because certain people are having those conversations. Not everybody is having these conversations. That probably could benefit from it. What does it mean to consolidate in this context? But whatever the considerations are, this is happening for all. Now, this can be, again, just discussions about it, actual movement of that, but also literal consolidation of power happening. Even more so. Forms of power can show up in many different ways. Consolidation of media, consolidation of, you get it, right? So we'll be seeing this happening, whether we are proactively trying to make it happen or not, but this is what's going to be showing up. So the guidance from spirit in dealing with this, whether we're riding that wave ourselves or watching it happen with institution, is this faith card number 45. So I'm actually getting two things with this. So one, this is on a personal level, or I should say like an individual level. And that's that before external power can be addressed, internal power, soul power has to be addressed and reclaimed, essentially, so that the external power can be both more effectively used and more appropriately used. This is a reminder that the non-physical power is the fuel, is the catalyst, is literally the life force for everything externally that we call power. I'm also getting that this is a reminder that regardless of scale, this is powerful. This is a dual image because this is both cultivation, access, leveraging of one's own, again, power, soul power, as well as like literally the consolidation of what we would call larger power externally by, you know, a few individuals or a few groups. But they are one and the same. So we do have to remember with this faith card that even though scale will tell us differently or make us think differently, the principle is the same. The access to this is the same. The whoever is the one consolidating still has to actually deal with this. One last message that's coming through with this consolidation of power is very much around magnetizing around apparent differences, whereas this faith card is dissolving that and putting the focus on the places of sameness or similarity. You see the color is still actually incorporated here, but this elevated color, the green, is, again, interdependence, relationship. There are core fundamental things that actually unite rather than denote that were fundamentally different. It'd be nice if those conversations are more prominent. Moving on. So that has brought us now to the halfway point of the year. So we're coming to the spring equinox. So next March 21st, I think. Oh, wrong card. So in the in general, what we're going to be expecting to see is this Knight of Swords. I'm not going to end at noon. All right. There's so many messages. There's also a lot of like not good stuff too. So I'm trying to not have this be like ridiculously heavy, especially since the beginning of the year was already heavy. Um, so negotiations, contracts, implementation of strategies, movements. This is Mars in an air sign, so movements popping up, collaborations popping up, momentum popping up around certain things. But this at least feels like things are moving forward, or at least that there's more activity rather than just kind of like this stagnancy. You're like hitting up against a wall. The guidance from spirit is the fortune card. So this specifically, as guidance, is a reminder that we actually are kind of going to be at a choice point, if you will, of how we collectively decide to move forward. So we have a simpler, less destructive path for all. And then we have like the destructive path. But this is an important juncture. I'm curious what the astrology is going to be looking like for that month. But this is a point when we can actually like turn things in a particular favor. But with fortune, with the wheel, there's no up or down. It's just it will turn however the hands that are working it, you see the hands here on the side, are turning it. So depending on this consolidation of power that has been cultivated and been working on will determine how the wheel shifts in the path that we end up taking. Okay. This actively feels like all players consciously and proactively playing the game, so to speak. It's like being in a big open world video game and like the NPCs are not realizing like, oh, we're in a video game, like we actually can play. Like this is the vibe. Like everyone is playing. And so it's like, okay, how are things actually going to turn out? It's going to turn out based off of this previous work. So then moving into month, where is that going to be? 8 in Taurus season, we have the King of Swords. So the kings are 4 energy, so it's about solidification of what has, been done. This is literally like the judge in the deck. Okay, judgment comes down, a decision is made about certain things. This can be new laws on the books, new propositions, new drafts, you name it. This almost feels as well like a scramble for resources as well too. Which is interesting because normally I would think that might be with this Earth card, but I'm feeling that more so with this. The guidance here. Oh, hold on. I'll move on. The guidance here is the contrast card, number 29. This feels very specifically like a reminder that even though things might not seem as settled or as picturesque as you would prefer, um, there is actually a lot of opportunity here. This is very different from this Five of Swords energy, where it's just like, you know, death and destruction and chaos. I don't want to say this feels like a free for all because it's not the vibe, but it's like so many possibilities exist. But if you're not viewing it the right way, you're going to think that there's no structure, there's no opportunity, there's no way forward. And that's not the case. This is feeling very much like opportunity within the contrast, within all the things that are popping up. Like there is very much opportunity here. And I mean, you can literally see these hands and all the eyes around. That's actually feeling like this energy. I'm not feeling positive energy in general from this card, because again, this is feeling more authoritarian or folks who are in position of power who are not necessarily concerned with community or group, although it, you know, it could be. But it's perusing resources and you know what's there. There's opportunity here that we need to see as well. I am actually getting the sense that there's potential for some great innovation to come out of this if we allow it. If we see this as a creative playground rather than chaos for this month specifically, Taurus season. Now for Gemini season, so this is what, end of May into June. What's showing up is a 10 of Cups. Yeah, so this is feeling like specifically a spirit energy message, the ancestors, the masters, the guiding realms being very present in our conscious awareness collectively. A lot more open communication. There might actually be more connections or visitations from ancestors that folks have that they never experienced before. Angels, like whatever it is, or even just like, you know, oh, I'm going to start meditating, whatever. This is feeling like spirit is very specifically stepping in and being very close to, again, conscious awareness for all, not just folks that are already in that. Yeah, very much needed. The guidance here is card number 2, people. This is affirmation of that energy because these are guiding forces around literally the planet. For me as a yogi, I've mentioned this before, but this is the guardian wall of humanity. So the thousands and thousands of masters in the spirit. Okay, this energy is very much coming through with this. So connect, right? It's going to be stepping through anyway, but actively connect with the greater guardians. And the greater guardians aren't it's not the planet, it's not Earth based. It's literally a group literally surrounding the planet. Okay. Last quarter. So we're coming to my favorite time of year also, besides holiday time. Summer solstice. So this is June, what, 20th, 21st? Card number 34, Mission of the Soul, is the guidance, and the what we can in general expect to see is the Chariot card. So the Chariot talks about, it can talk about balance, like finding common ground, a joining of opposites, right? But the Chariot also relates to conflict. It relates to conflict. With this image in particular, it seems that there's some progress with finding common ground or agreement, ceasefire, with some folks, administration possibly, but the potentially the physical carrying out of certain things, or maybe particular elements associated with those groups, with those people, etc., are still kind of at each other's throats, or there's still aggression. So there's a little bit of peace, balance, quiet, or at least calm, but there is still, this binary energy, this antagonistic energy there. The mission of the soul, though, is the guidance. What's coming through very prominently is this triangle here. Because remember what I was saying about the astrology earlier, about the trine. This month, this point, this summer season, Cancer season time, is when we're going to be having that new birth energy. We're going to be 9 months out from that grand trine in air. And when we come to the end of this, the sun will be in Leo, but Jupiter already is in Leo as well, too, around this time. So a new leadership emerges. This is mission of the soul. A new leadership arises out of the chaos, and it's a bloody chaos. This is definitely not a pretty card, especially within this context. But something new is arising. And we'll be able to see it because there's a little bit of calm. It hasn't fully, this isn't peace, but there is a little bit of calm showing through. Okay. Now for Leo season, we have the 10 of Swords. Now this is more calm because this is actually literally the end of something occurring. Like it's literally the crypt. So something has come to an end. Now we already had the 5 halfway through the year, but now we're at the 10. Okay, so something has come to an end. But this is the crypt. So this, in other cards, there would be, this sense of like new life being birthed, there isn't really in this card. I don't want to get into what this could mean in some of the global situations, but regardless, there is an end to something or several things. To the point where there's not new life with that thing. So there's no like trying to revive it or redo what it was in the past. And this could be a lot of things, y'all. So the guidance is the card of deception. Just because it may seem like something is over doesn't mean that it really is. Like there's actually more to the story. There's actually more here. And in particular, questions around where do we go from here, or how do we not repeat this coming up? This is giving me the vibe of an inability to self-deceive, as well as a group, an inability to self-deceive. This is actually feeling like forced clarity and a good bullshit detector, being able to see through the mess to the truth. But there is also a warning here to not self-placate and think that just because this Ten of Swords is here, which, you know, depending on the circumstance, could actually be a win for you, to think that that means this is over. It's just this battle is over. Last month, Virgo month. We have the Hierophant card. So in this deck, this is actually a guide to show the way to what's next. So even if we are self-deceiving in the previous month, it's going to be made clear what's next to focus on in the following month. Quite simply. And the guidance from Spirit is card number 70, Fast. That's feeling like what I was picking up when we were talking about the astrology earlier, about how I feel like things are actually going to be moving quickly, and that newness towards the end of the year and into next year is coming through, because this is like, okay, the door literally is open, and now you'll individually, collectively be able to move forward with things much more quickly, with a little less of this massive amounts of conflict, or at least back and forth. Now, again, who this is going to be benefiting, depending on the context, it's going to depend on how folks have been playing the game, both up to this point and through here. So this juncture, really, February, March, April, as hard as the next 90 days is, it still feels like we've been there, done that. We have the skills or the tools or what have you to deal with it because it's not new, right? The February, March, April time, very specifically, is feeling like how we roll through that time period determines this, who essentially is coming out ahead to like start the race once the door opens and the energy is moving again. Because again, these are collective messages, not personal. So on my side of things, I like to win. So now I think our mindset, so mind, emotions, physical resources, etc., that come into February is going to depend on how we navigate the next 90 days and the state that we are in coming into that time. So we have to fight well, whatever that means during this time. Okay, September, October, November. Recoup well over the holiday season, December into January. And hold the line, consolidate power, February, March, April. Listen to spirit, which is going to start speaking very clearly in the spring and moving very clearly in the spring. Things will calm down a bit in the external, seemingly, but things are going to pop off soon, right at the end of the spiritual year, right before we get into Libra season next year. Okay. We will take our 10-minute break and then we will come back for Q&A on these messages because I did go over time as I figured I would, but at least I wasn't too much over time. So I'll give myself that. And then we'll do Q&A and then we will do the Oracle card messages. All right. So I will see y'all 18 after. All right. All righty. So now let us get into Q&A. So this can be Q&A specific to well, actually, let's start with questions about the month-by-month guidance. Get those answered first, and then it can be general Q&A about anything. And I'll say anything with a caveat because this is still part of the recording. Obviously, I will still do the Oracle card pull for folks after this. So that is designated for more like a personal nature. You can obviously ask personal questions. Just know that it will be part of the recording for this part if you decide to do so, keeping that in mind. But questions about the month to month.
Yes. What's coming up for me is around strategically pursuing falling in love as the strategy for power building is the way that I received it and processed it. Almost as like a preemptive measure for turning the fortune wheel. Did I understand that properly? Interconnectedness, like knowing what the card means, not like, generally falling in love, but like pursuing relationship building outside of maybe like the linear existing power structure as a strategy.
Yes. um, 1 second, let me move the.
It feels like a natural way of being, though, if I'm honest. Like it feels like my existing way of being, which is why the conflict or my personal chess card, because like maybe I'll wait till after the recording, but I feel like that feels natural to me. Interdependence, interconnectedness, building across, versus looking up or trying to move up, if that makes sense. Um,
Yes. Well, okay, so one, just for clarity for just folks in general, whether here live or watching the recording. Um, personal/intimate relationships, whether romantic or not, are they're not the vehicle for revolution or change. Cause yeah, sometimes folks actually like have that mindset. Um, i.e., part of the purpose of my relationship with this person, again, regardless of context, is again on a personal, intimate level, is to help make this change or to help do this. That's not the purpose for a relationship, romantic relationship, or a close personal relationship, like a good friend. That's coming very that's coming through very strongly from the ancestors. um Probably because the message had come through about those relationships being a place of respite, and they can't be a place of respite if they are a place of battle. So the relationship building, coalition building, interdependence, resource sharing, whatever that is going to, whatever the context and the scale this is looking like, again, because this is a very broad message. This is not, that's not necessarily the energy of these are folks that I'm friends with or that I vibe with per se. Like we should have shared values and shared goals, but that may not necessarily mean that we like each other either. Um, I mean, obviously you don't want antagonistic relations, so it's but it's the message was coming through a little bit more on the faith card about the common denominator, the similarities, the places of sameness rather than difference. Although this card came after, so it just might, this might have to be the filtration system after the initial connections are happening. But in general, yes, a different strategy that is not focused on, well, okay, so there was two messages with this. So one is like, the exposure of the player or players behind a certain thing, regardless of context, and shifting from this way of running things to this way of running things. But there's also something about having a multi-pronged approach with that guidance card. Because the other thing about this, like there just being like this one way to have supposed safety, like this is going to be presented regardless. And whatever the scale or context where this is being presented, there needs to be a commiserate or a commiserate, I guess, commiserate example or option to choose from that is equally established. And since I use the word established, it means it actually already has to be established and it needs to be presented as an option, not be built at that time. Because something that's in the process, like if this is in the process, that would be more night energy, and night energy is not a viable option dealing with the king. Like no one's going to choose night over king. They're just not. So whatever is there potentially as another option has to essentially survive those first 4 months and come out strong to again present as another viable option and then be able to consolidate power, right? But this isn't the energy of building to that. Because the building energy, expansive energy is not it's not as supported with this energy beyond what's already, kind of available and already in flow. I could see that opening up and being different when we get into that next year, but this is very much like wherever you are, whatever you got is where it is kind of vibe. So if you're trying to create this, that means it's not for you for right now. If you already have this, then it needs to be strengthened in the fire that collectively we're about to go through. It needs to be firmly presented as another option for stability and success, whatever that's going to be during this time, starting at this time. And refined, consolidate power, resources, and refined over this time. And be making changes and see what opportunities exist to then be able to move forward, because the moving forward is definitely going to be happening right after that. Does that make sense?
Thank you.
And again, this is relevant to whatever the circumstance is, because this is a global message. So even if things are really quiet here, doesn't necessarily mean that there's not viable options around. It just might not necessarily be for you. So I got to also watch that energy of the projection. That was coming up. Any other questions about this month by month before we just have like general Q&A before we get into Oracle messages? No? Okay, general messages, general Q&A. They could be interpersonal or global, because apparently Spirit is speaking right now about global occurrences. So like I said, I'm not necessarily sharing everything that's like been coming through, just because I don't want this to be like hella heavy, but nothing. Okay. All righty. So that for the portion of the recorded messages for the spiritual new year is the conclusion. So when I do have this recording up, for those of you that will be watching the recording, whether you're here live or not, I will of course put timestamps up, and as well as have the agenda there so you can get a sense of all the topics that we covered, and you can jump to the section that you want to jump to review certain things, what have you, over time. I definitely encourage revisiting this at least once a month, if not every season. Um, right. Um, so, you know, if you can revisit these messages every month, but definitely every season, pay attention to those messages to get a sense of how the energy is moving, because it is also grouped together as well. But again, the ancestor messages are more personal in nature, so that's the management for you in your life. These month-to-month messages are more global occurrences and things that you may notice, regardless of context, regardless of scale. These are things that are going to be popping up. Okay. With that being said, as I mentioned in the very beginning, I don't think it was on this part of the recording. I am going to be doing another meditation journey for 60 days. That's going to be starting in the beginning, I think in that first week of October, I'll start that. And then I'm planning on also doing a 90-day one in the new year. So I encourage you to participate, whether you literally are participating in the container that I'm holding or on your own, to start up a meditation practice if you haven't already, or get back to it. Okay. The support is there for you, but it will be very much helpful during this time. Because even if you are, for some reason, not affected by whatever is going on, the North Node Pisces, South Node Virgo is still going to be doing its work on you. And those are the karma dharma axes in the chart. So it's still bringing up stuff, at the very least spiritual. So that work is there to support regardless. All right, so with that being said, I'm going to now shift off of the recording. I'm going to stop this, and we're going to get to the Oracle card messages for those who are here live. All right. Blessings to you all. Thank you for joining me, for those of you who came, who are on the recording. And, God willing, I'll see you in the next year for the next Spiritual New Year event for 2027.